It's that wake up time. Some people might meditate. This is my morning routine. And the more you do it, the easier it is. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I'll have what she's having.
Welcome to another edition of
She talks with confidence.
Podcast.
Welcome. It's the She Talks Confidence Podcast. It's Tony, your host. And this week I have an incredible guest. It's Felice Cohen. Felice, how are you?
I'm great, Tony. How you doing?
I can't wait to talk about this. You're an author, and interestingly enough, your books, which we're going to touch on, but it's really not the main reason we're here today. You came on today to share really important activity or function that means a great deal in terms of connection, especially with confidence in women, and it's letter writing. But first, I would just like to get your story in terms of how you got here today, how you got into being an author of multiple books, how you got into finally going through the letter writing exercise as well.
I grew up on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and after college, I moved to New York City to be a writer. And to pay the bills, I was a professional organizer. I would go into people's homes and organize their closets, their cabinets and stuff. And I was also working on a book with my grandfather. And I really didn't know if it would be a book, but he was a Holocaust survivor, as was my maternal grandmother, who committed suicide. So it was finding out about that got me talking to my grandfather. And that's what got us telling his story. And so I had been working on a story for years. And I knew the only way I could finish it was to quit my crazy job. And I moved into a tiny apartment thinking that the low rent would allow me to just live there for a year, finish the book.
Seems reasonable enough. And please describe the fact this apartment was like literally a closet, right? Not
Yeah.
literally, like 90 square feet.
It was 90. So Michael Jordan could touch both walls. It was 7.5 by 12 feet. And
Oh.
yeah, and I thought I'd just stay a year. The rent was great in New York City. It was $700, which is like free on the Upper West Side.
Yeah, that's like a corner in an alley somewhere.
Yeah, it was
Right?
better than that because it was a block from Central Park and Lincoln Center. It was
Nice.
a great location.
All
So I
right.
thought I'd stay a year. After the first night, I had a panic attack, but I ended up loving it because it had
Nice.
this loft, tiny bed. But I ended up staying 5 years. I had 77 boxes of stuff in storage. After every year, I would decide to stay another year. I went back and got rid of stuff in storage. And after 5 years, I got rid of all those boxes. A woman made a video of the apartment. It went viral. And the landlord, who I never thought would see it, saw it. And I was subletting illegally, apparently.
Of course.
So I was evicted. It was a blessing, though. It was great for those 5 years, but I had saved. And during that time, I finished my grandfather's book. And because of the video, the book sold around the world. And
That's
suddenly
crazy.
I was speaking around the country. And I was like, wait, wow. I wrote this book as a gift for him. It turned into a gift for me as well. So here I was now. I found another place. I bought a place to live. My grandfather helped me. He said, you lived in a shoebox so you could write about my life. Now I want to help you enjoy yours. I'm working as a professional organizer for so many years. I knew how to organize. And so I wrote a book on organizing and decluttering and how to live in a tiny space. And then I finished a personal memoir I'd been working on called Half In. And then I thought, okay, what's the next book? And during the pandemic, I was home with my parents and I found all the letters I had ever received. And I had almost 1,000 since I'm 7 years old, from family, from friends, from ex-boyfriends, from ex-girlfriends.
And you kept them all?
I had them all and I kept them at
Wow.
my parents' house.
Mhm.
So I started going through them and I thought some people sent me 100 letters, some sent 50 letters because this was the 80s, the 90s, before email. So that's how we communicated. But I started reading these letters and some of the ones from similar people had these arcs, these narrative arcs. And I thought, how can I put this together in a book? And I've been working on that. And at the end of last year, I was stuck and wasn't really sure the direction. My editor had other ideas. And I decided to take a step back. And I somehow came up with the idea to write a letter every day in 2025 and just step back and just do it again, get back into the letter writing. And then I reminded myself I used to be a columnist and now we have Substack. Let me try writing about letters every week, but from all kinds of ideas, the benefits of writing letters. And the other day was April Fool's. I did a letter from Oprah to me. My mom called and said, "Did you get a letter from Oprah?" But it's about how letters bring us connection. And in this crazy world where we communicate with a smiley face or some emoji of something, we're losing that connection. And it forces you, when you write a letter, to slow down, to think. But it's also this feeling of when somebody writes you a letter, that somebody took the time and wrote me a letter. And I've always said, don't get me a card for my birthday, make
Mhm.
one, design one, write it on the back of a menu. I don't care, because that shows that you really care. So that's been the greatest part of this.
You started it like January 1st, I'm assuming, of this
January
year.
1st. Yep.
Now the question is, who are you writing the letter? I'm assuming it's one letter a day. Is it to the same person? Is it to different people, to different age groups? What was your reasoning behind the choosing who to send it to?
First, I made a list of all my friends and family. And then I went through some acquaintances, but then I started posting about it. And I said, if you want me to send you a letter,
Hmm.
send me your mailing address. And suddenly
Hmm.
people were saying, hey, I did it on Facebook. So some were friends, some were strangers. And one day in January, I addressed about 100 envelopes. And so every morning I pick an envelope and I don't see the name.
Oh, okay.
And so it's been a surprise visit every morning with somebody from either my immediate circle or my past. And it's this kind of revisit with our old friendship. So if it's a friend I haven't talked to in years, I talk about old memories. I
Hmm.
talk about new things, ask them questions. And that's how we used to communicate. You asked a question and you waited
Mhm.
a week or two for a
Oh,
response,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. That creates a very interesting dynamic, right? It creates the dynamic of you're offering to in a reconnection in terms of bringing back some older memories with some of your older friends. It brings out something in you, it'll bring out something in them. It's a very win-win. With the strangers that you're doing this to, or the people that you don't know, how do you go about structuring that letter?
I look them up on social media. And we've had the connection now with email. Usually you can find stuff with their name. And I look on Facebook or Instagram and try to find a little about them. And then I just talk about my progress of the letters and why I'm doing this. And I still ask them questions like, did you used to write letters? Who did you write letters to? And what's been amazing and what I never expected was that people are writing me back.
Uh-huh.
It's that feeling again of finding the envelope in the mailbox, of seeing something that's not from RP or from some food service thing, and
Mhm.
that joy and that feeling of sitting down and ripping open the envelope. And I embellish envelopes, I make big letters, I put a sticker on the back, and
Mhm.
people are doing the same, and people are having fun doing it. And so I write back again. So
Mm.
that's another letter. And I always write, you don't have to keep writing me back.
Which I was gonna ask you, your initial letter to them, first of all, they have queried into, like, "Yeah, send me a letter," or, "Hey, I'll more than happy to get one." I'm assuming that your first letter doesn't say, "Hey, write me back." It's pretty much
Correct.
just a gift to them and see what goes from there.
Absolutely. I never say write me back, which is what we used to write on so many letters.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a letter from my younger sister who said, write me back or I'll put cherry bombs in your toes or something. It was like, I don't know. She was like 12. It was funny, but that's what we used to write.
And that's what makes it fascinating. Do you write it differently based upon how old they are? Because as we've talked about, I'm a Gen Xer and you're younger, a little younger than me, but we're in an age where we didn't have any of this stuff. A lot of these women that are out now, and even men right now up into the 40s, never did that. So
Right.
do you take a different approach?
I just approach them as the person and what I know about them. What's been amazing is my uncle, who I was very close with, died 10 years ago. And his college roommate, who I've known for years, I wrote him a letter and he was so excited to write me back and told me how when he was first dating his girlfriend, they wrote letters. And then this other man who I met a few years ago through his brother in Florida saw it on Facebook and just wrote me
Hmm.
I didn't even write he
Wow.
wasn't even on my list. He wrote me a letter, a 3-page letter,
Hmm.
and he talked about he had lived near my grandfather, so he knew about my grandfather's story, and he wrote about that, and
Hmm.
he just wrote about how I inspired him to write this letter and how he now wants to write to his children because there's something so different when you write a letter as opposed to sending an email. Not that
A hun-
email is bad, but
no, but 100%. Do you find that the letters are handwritten, printed, or written on in Microsoft Word? Do you find most of them are more personal handwritten, or do people do both of them? And is there a difference in terms of the content do you see?
one friend wrote me back on an email and she said, I hope this is the same. And I wrote back, it is not, but I'm glad you wrote back. There's
Right.
something, yes, if you're expressing yourself, but there's something intimate and an exchange that happens from your brain to the pen.
Hmm.
When you sit down and you slow down, it's like journaling. You
Oh yeah.
can't erase, you can't delete, you can't start over. Nothing pops up on your screen on the
Yeah.
paper, but there's something that just connects you when you slow down and think and you cross out a word. Or I had a friend who wrote me back, she's my age, and all of a sudden I was transported back to camp when I was 10. She just wrote all these funny marks and arrows and said, I can't spell. And it was just so fun.
And
And
such a
that's the
gift,
beauty.
and the thing is that it's time not just well invested, it's time times 10 invested in terms of the gift that you're getting. It seems to me like the letter writing is really a metaphor for connection. It's a metaphor for caring and showing people that you do care and that you're thinking about them. And they because nowadays
Yeah.
we're just too busy, or we just have too many things going on, or too many emails to do or to answer to be able to take out a brief moment to be able to express just a hey, how's it going? And how important that is to other people. I talk about confidence all the time, and it's women's confidence and self esteem and intuition. How do you see the letter writing process as an exercise in confidence for women?
When you think that somebody cares about you, you feel better. You feel more confident about yourself. Everybody responds to me in some way, either a letter, a text, or an email when they get a letter and they just send the picture. Some are posting it. They're just so happy. They feel like they're seen. They know somebody out there who's very busy took the time to think about them, to write about them.
Mhm.
And I really try to think about that person and to say something genuine about them. It's not just fluff I'm writing. I really want somebody to feel that because in a world where, yes, we're connected on social media, but it's about likes, it's about this, it's not about somebody just reaching out to you and
Mhm.
wanting to connect.
Mhm. Did you initially start this process because of the need to do did you feel a yearning? Did you feel an absence or at that time in your life? Was it this a process of not only giving, obviously, but also of perhaps working through something at the beginning when you started this?
It's an interesting question. As an author, I just wrote a first screenplay. You're working from home and there's nobody there to talk to. And I think sometimes you're in this big city and I do a lot of things and I have my friends, but sometimes there's no community.
Mhm.
And community is so important. And I was talking about this with another author friend who works from home and we do different things and we have little pockets of community, but suddenly in writing this Substack, I have a whole new community of people who are also writing about letters, who are also lovers of writing letters. And I'm now connecting with people and writing them letters. Anybody who signs up for my Substack and is a paid subscriber, I write them a handwritten thank you letter. And
That's
people are
great.
so excited. I'm saying, hey, send me your
Yeah.
address. Really? Yeah. And I'm surprised people send me their address. Everybody's scared of.
Yeah, but I think but obviously that says something. It says that you are exhibiting or you're putting out there that vibe, that energy, that flow that this is a community and it's a caring community because of what you have been doing and what you have started up in terms of that.
Yeah.
You've talked about there are other people doing this, and Amy was talking about the same thing a while back. What's the easiest way to start doing this?
I say grab a piece of paper. It doesn't even need to be a nice, beautiful piece of stationery. It just needs to be paper and a pen. And Think of the first person that comes to your mind. Think of someone you have a memory with. Think of somebody who might have given you something as a thank you. It just says, "Hey, I'm thinking about you." Tell them about your day. Tell them what you're thinking about. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them what you ate for breakfast. It doesn't matter. Make this connection. Just start. If you really want to do this, I have a big bowl, this beautiful bowl that has stationery in it. It has stamps, it has pens, it has stickers in it. It's that wake up time. Some people might meditate. This is my morning routine. And the more you do it, the easier it is. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah,
So
for
make
sure.
it easy and make it fun. I
Mhm.
make a tea in the morning. I look out the window at a building, but it's New York City, but
Nonetheless, it's New York City, right?
it
Yeah.
is. And now you hear the birds singing and
You know what? I deal with women clients, and one of the biggest issues, not just with my clients, but through research, is overthinking and rumination. And so this is such a simple thing to get together and to start. But I know that there would be a lot of overthinking. What should I write? Who should I write to? What if I don't do this? What if I don't have time? What if I don't write? How do you get through that?
so somebody asked me this the other day. One, maybe the first day, address the envelope. Okay, that's it. All you have to do is address the envelope, put the stamp on it. That's leave it. The next day, write dear whatever, and just say how you doing, and just I'm reaching out to you. Have a prompt. Literally say, tell them maybe did you see a movie? Did you
Mhm.
have a TV show you like? Did you see the finale of Severance? Do you watch Severance? Oh my God, it's crazy. But it doesn't matter. And I think that's the important part. When I do talks on organizing and decluttering, I always say, could you get rid of 5 things a day? It could be a paperclip, right? If after a week, that's 35 things. So it's baby steps. It's
Mhm.
literally not worrying about the barrier. Get the envelope ready. If everything's ready, then the next day, maybe just write a sentence. Maybe
Mhm.
after lunch, write another sentence. Hey, I just had tacos. Literally,
No, we're so overwhelmed or so nervous, put so much pressure on ourselves that everything has to count and everything has to matter. And it has to be, especially when it comes to a posting. If somebody is a poster, oh, you have to say the keyword here and these things here, and it has to pack a punch.
right.
Where this is actually the absolute opposite of it. This is almost literally like journaling. Do you suggest, because I know that there are instances where it will come up to where people start doing this for themselves, do you find that as something that is not a good mindset to start with, and it should be more about doing it for the other person? What's the proper mindset for starting this to where, oh, it's going to be at the most benefit for not only you, but for the people that you write to?
Like you were saying about being stuck to even start, think first how you would feel to open your mailbox and see a letter. Doesn't even matter what's inside, just seeing that letter. And so knowing that, that could eliminate that barrier. But everybody has a different reason for doing something. I started writing the letters because I know how much I love writing letters. I know how much I love receiving letters. And I was hoping that this might trigger more ideas for the book I want to write about it. And along the way, it's for me, it's for other people receiving the letters. It's really a gift that goes both ways.
Hmm. And so far, you're into, what are we in, the fourth month here? What is the most interesting thing that you've learned from this?
Next week will be the 100th letter. I'm
Oh, okay.
excited to write about that. I think what I'm surprised and what's been interesting is how many people are responding to this.
Hmm.
It's, oh, yeah, there's talk of getting rid of the US Postal Service. People really love getting letters. And I interviewed my postal carrier in the building and I said, do you like getting letters? She said, oh, yeah. I said, do you send letters? She said, oh, no.
Yeah,
So
right.
people love getting letters. People want to be recognized and thought about. And I think it's something we're all feeling, but we don't say it. We're not
Hmm.
expressing that. And people are seeing that now, and everybody wants a letter. It's been
Yeah, in the psychological circles, because I've been in this for 20 some odd years, and I first did my initial training, my therapy training in the late 90s. And one of the exercises that we always did with individual clients was have them write a letter to themselves. Because at the beginning, because then it grounds them into hearing it or getting the letter, first of all, which I think is a very powerful thing. And not only that, from yourself. and then having that as a benchmark in terms of talking about where you're at then versus, and then to be able to go back and to see it later on or to write another letter to yourself
Mhm.
later. Isn't it interesting that it's such a small thing, but it's such a powerful thing? So, how is this going to integrate into the book? What kind of an approach are you taking in your book about this?
I also teach memoir, and
Mm,
some people who've been through trauma, I suggest that they
mm,
write a letter to that person, not to send it, but to get what they're feeling really off their chest. And when you write, just write without editing, just write it. And it's very effective. And I love the writing the letters to yourself, what you're doing. Again, it's just like journaling.
mhm,
As far as the book, my idea, first of all, was that it would be a kind of reverse memoir where you didn't hear from me. You learned about this person through the letters people wrote to her
hmm.
or wrote to me, because there are letters when I'm 15 from these boys, letters my grandmother, my dad, and then high school and the people, friendships. And again, these letters span decades. So as you are learning about this person, you're also hearing about what's going on in the world, the history of it, and what's big, and the TV shows mentioned, and things happening. So
Mhm.
you start recognizing the characters. Like one of my friends, she wrote me since high school through when we were 50. So we learn about her life and all the boys she dated and the
Mhm.
craziness. And this happens multiple times with multiple friends, but it's also people commenting on me and, oh, you're
Mhm.
dating women now? Oh, you're dating men again? Oh, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah. You wrote a book? Oh, so you're learning about this person. And I'm really struggling with not wanting to put my voice in there because I think it's so fascinating to try to create this character with everybody else's words.
What a great concept. I'm going and seeing a really great piece of art because if it's a really great piece of art, it gives you room, the viewer, the room to create in your mind what it means to you. It sounds to me like you're allowing in that process, you're allowing you to be created in the mind of whomever is reading through the
Mm,
stories, which is another added gift to a really good book is to be able to give levels of ownership to the reader, the individual reader. I
mm.
think that's great. How far are you along on that?
I started putting it together, and then my editor said, I think you should focus on just the X's and the love letters. And I thought, oh,
Oh, really?
there's,
Because I like
there's,
that first concept way better
yeah,
than that.
no, me too. And I just love it. So I had to step back and just see how I'm going to craft this because it's
Okay.
really fun
Oh, it sounds like an
to
absolute
see.
blast. I just especially
Yeah.
going through the old letters and it's like going through old photo books or going through your old knickknacks or tickets to games like back in the
Yeah.
days. In
Yeah.
fact, the thing that has cropped up in my mind, this might be a little off of topic, but you're an organizer specialist. How does that kind of mix with the letter stuff? Does it at all? Do you see any overlap on that?
Oh, yeah. When I first started going through these letters, my first thing was organize it by person. And then it dated ordered. And then there were
Yeah.
people I didn't remember. And then there were people who've passed away. And those letters, I remember running downstairs to my parents and reading them some of my grandmother's letters, who's gone. She's
Mhm.
been dead 10 years or so. And it was as though she had just written me that letter that day. Reading it, you hear her voice. And that's the beauty of each of these letters. Everybody has such distinct voices. So it's really just been a wonderful kind of revisit to this. But my brain likes to organize, how I do it. Do I do it chronological? Do I do it by person? So lots of ideas, juggling.
That gives me an idea that writing a letter to my grandkids, writing a specific letter to my daughter, to my son-in-law, and also having younger people request letters from their parents and their grandparents so they can have those later and so they can go back to them. That would be a huge gift to the younger generation to have that.
Oh, for sure. Before Valentine's, I was going to print it, but my dad didn't want me to. I found some of his love letters to my mom, and I thought, they've been married 55 years. I thought, this is
Yeah.
pretty cool. He goes, I don't know. But that's something that kids aren't going to have. One of the letters I wrote was to my 3-year-old niece. I
Mhm.
wanted her she can't read, but probably
Yeah,
doesn't
but she'll
understand.
have that, right?
Right. Hmm.
Forever. That's incredible. Thank you. I really appreciate it very much. And Felice, can you talk about quick go over your books because I think they're fascinating. And then where your Substack is, how to get there, and then how to get a hold of you.
Sure. My website is felicecohen.com. The books, What Papa Told Me, 90 Lessons for Living Large in 90 Square Feet or More, and Half In. They're all wherever you buy books, Amazon. You can get the links from my website. The Substack is called A Love Letter to Letters. And you can, I think it's a love letter to letters.substack. I don't even know. But again, it's felicecohen.com. Everything is there. And the Substack
Okay.
is free as well.
Good. Perfect. And then I will definitely put that in the show notes to get to your website, and then they can get to everything on the Felice, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And that's super fun. And then, and expect a letter.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tony, you're going to have to send me your mailing
Now
address.
I'm going to. So thank you, Felice. I really appreciate it. And for me, it is actually theconfidencedoc.com. You can go to my website, and then you can get all sorts of stuff there. If you want to get a hold of me for private coaching, therapy sessions, also you can do it on that or Tony@theconfidencedoc.com. Again, I hope things are great, and I will see you next week.